for being back, and this is still Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's get talking on our conversation for today. Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka has praised the former Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amaechi for his boldness during the 2022 APC presidential primaries, where he refused to step down for Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Speaking at Amaechi's 60th birthday, Soyinka said he admired Amaechi's consistent fighting spirit and defiance, which he watched live from Abu Dhabi. He described Amaechi's stance as giving Tinubu a dose of his own medicine. Soyinka drew a parallel between Amaechi's resistance and Tinubu's past defiance during former President Obasanjo's failed third-term agenda. He recalled how Tinubu had stood alone against central pressure at the time and said it was satisfying to see Tinubu now on the receiving end of a similar challenge from Amaechi. According to Soyinka, while many aspirants stepped down during the APC primaries, Amaechi stood firm and declared he didn't come to commit Lule, which of course is called a fail. Soyinka said his moment reflected true democratic spirit. In the final vote, Tinubu won with 1,271 votes. Amaechi came second with 316, and Oshibanjo followed with 235. Let's get talking. I still have with me Barrister Evans Ofeli. Thank you so very much, Barrister, for hanging on. I am very excited that we're doing this. Number one reason is because Wole Soyinka is someone you hold there.
Yes.
You truly admire him a lot. But given all of that, I would love to speak to the feigning ignorance of this great legend. Selective criticism on the part of this same great man who's been there for a very long time. At the late hours of his adventure, he is not, doing what Nigerians would have expected from him. You can see how much he said about Amaechi, but isn't it disturbing that this same legend isn't saying the same thing against the man of the moment, the president?
Yes, as at the time Tinubu was campaigning, Soyinka supported Tinubu, right? When he became the president and was doing the wrong things, policies somersaulted, subsidy gone, no alternative, the free fall of the naira, the economy was in shambles. Journalists went back to Wole Soyinka to ask him questions. He said it was too early to speak. That he needed time to assess, to see more of what Tinubu could do, whether I could bounce back, whether I could bring a solution, whether he has an idea somewhere that we're not aware of. 2 years after, nothing has changed really. Okay, so at this birthday, I think Soyinka must have seen the handwriting on the wall. Okay, little wonder he supported what Amaechi was talking about when he refused to back down for Tinubu during the APC primaries, that he had sway and the rest of that. Remember, Amaechi was originally for Buhari, not Tinubu, not Pasi. Amaechi actually supported Buhari's emergence. In fact, he left the PDP. He left the PDP and joined the APC, supported Buhari. So Amaechi is not really a fan of Tinubu when you look at it, because Amaechi, give it to him, you can call him all sort of names, but when you talk about one of the leaders that speak truth to power, is Amaechi. He once said it that the people have refused to stone them as politicians. That is why they keep doing what they're doing. Yeah. He said it again that the problem of Nigeria is not even the leaders, but his followers. That when they want to take a wrong decision, the people will come out to protest. He said even after the protest, the government will still go ahead to take the wrong decision and will not do anything thereafter. He said it. He said all that. So Soyinka now, just like many people who supported Buhari at the beginning and discovered that the man does not have anything to offer, and they changed their mind. At the tail end of his administration, a lot of people were swearing for him, those who voted him. Okay, that's the same thing that's happening here. Okay, Tinubu has gotten to a point where even Wole Soyinka is disappointed. Did you watch Sheila's comment recently? I think it was on London over the weekend.
Okay.
You understand? He made a statement against Tinubu.
Really?
Yes.
Because he's been a very,
Very
addictive fan.
Yeah,
of
but he has
the
also
president.
seen it that this man is hell bent on ensuring that he failed the nation. He's not productive. His government, he has not even governed one day. He's just doing politics, and that is what he understands: politics all the way. There's nothing about governance that he doesn't know what governance is. So most of his supporters have seen it. Lai Mohammed, Nasir El-Rufai,
Yeah.
okay, Onokpasa, the
Onokpasa.
famous Onokpasa. These are people who put him there, okay. If you notice, Femi Fani-Kayode is not talking again.
Yes.
It was rumored that he was among the list of ambassadors,
Yeah.
whatever, and after that time, seeing what is going on, because if not for what to eat, Femi Fani-Kayode is a strong opposition against Tinubu,
Yes.
opponent, serious one.
Yes.
But because of politics of the stomach, politics of hand to mouth, he caved in and supported him. But now he's also seeing it again that the man whom we all supported, who we think that by now he should have put the economy in shape, he should have at least used his power as a president to curtail some of the excesses of even the lawmakers whom he has control over. He's the one even using them to do more damage to the country. Look at the state of emergency, for example. Look at the way he uses the state of emergency to create palpable fear on governors, such that they are now decamping.
Everyone is.
My state, even after the former governor has stolen 1.3 trillion naira, which he used and frittered it away. The former governor still have assurance of soft landing by defecting from PDP to APC. Look at the governor of Akwa Ibom State and more governors. Look at how Tinubu is the only governor, the only president that have governed for 2 years with wrong policies, failure, and has been endorsed for second term. Something must be wrong. Something must be wrong, and that thing that is wrong is that people are scared that the EFCC will come after them.
But for people like Wole Soyinka, of course, I would love to believe is not scared of any FCC anything. I do not know. He is a man of words. Do you think a little bit of that knock by him at the 60th birthday of Rotimi Amaechi is a symbolism to stating that he is really not, he is no more a fan?
He's definitely not impressed at all. Remember, Wole Soyinka was in exile with Tinubu. They were in exile together with Tinubu. In fact, they even stayed in Tinubu's house while they were in exile. The June 12th saga, okay, in the UK, for long. Dele Momodu, together with Dele Momodu and some other very active voices there, were all in exile together in the same place in the UK. Okay, so they had a relationship that's beyond that of the public or their public display. They had a relationship. So it's only natural for him to be slow to criticism. That's what I think. But now he's seen it, and he's not really scared of criticizing anyone, except that he may give you the latitude because of the closeness and the relationship. But in the long run, he speaks his mind. He's not scared
But that
of
latitude, don't you think it's a show of complicity?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When you have a relationship with someone, it takes time for you to just want to mess it up, even if the person is doing the wrong thing. Yeah, it takes time. You will not be quick to take side in such. You want to give it time. You want to You don't want to ruffle. Soyinka he doesn't want to rock the boat just like that. But now he's saying it that this man, after 4 years, will achieve nothing. He will achieve nothing after 4 because he has not set in motion anything that will prove or that will change his story as we speak, that will give us anything better than what we're seeing. He has not governed well. He has not scored any mark anywhere. Is it the coastal road, coastal road that they are inaugurating? Or what can you name one thing that Tinubu have done since he became president for the past 2 years? One thing that he has done that you can sit back and look at and say, this man tried here. There's nothing. All his achievement is just in his head, in his imagination. You understand? He claimed that he has achieved this, he has achieved that, even the removal of the subsidy is an achievement. It was in the list of his achievements.
Because no other president had the courage of doing that.
No other president had the courage of doing that. And
so don't you think that that's an achievement?
No, it's not an achievement. He should have presented to us the impact, the positive impact of that removal. Because what we have is the negative impact, and that couldn't have been success. That cannot be presented as a list of achievement, that people's life is worse than it were when you met them. And you're not saying because you remove subsidy is part of an achievement. No, it cannot be an achievement. So, for want of what to list as an achievement, he was listing anything, everything. Okay? Delusional and unfocused. There's nothing on sight to show that this man was president for 2 years. Going. Nothing. Okay? So, is it the next 2 years now that he has started politics again? That's not going to perform. This tenure is gone. Okay? This tenure is gone. So, those who want to intercept him and make sure he remains a one tenure president, they are doing the right thing. They are right on track. But whether they have the stamina to muster the strength to fight teeth for teeth, eye for eyeball with INEC, that's the issue.
So yes, but while we wait for that to happen, let's get back to, the voice of, or the voices of decence. The daughter of General Sani Abacha said she would never forgive Wole Soyinka for all that he had said against their father. The same Wole Soyinka during Goodluck Ebele Jonathan's time said, and I quote, that Goodluck Jonathan left a tale of impunity. Now, given all of this, do you really think we should cut Wole Soyinka some slack? Because the daughter of General Sani Abacha said she admits that the father had done one or two things, but the economy during her father's time is far better than what we see today. But Wole Soyinka is not saying anything yet. And
that's something we're saying. Wole Soyinka ought to be talking now. This is a time he needs to talk. This is now he needs to call the bluff and really lambast Tinubu for the downward spine of the economy. His policies have never been right. In fact, his appointment is nothing to write home about. Because during Buhari's time, we could pick 2 ministers that were working, Rotimi Amechi and what's the name? Regbeshola, or Minister of Interior. You could pick 2 that are working. In this one, I don't think anybody is working apart from the Minister for Interior. Minister for Works and Housing. That's not even for me performance.
But how about the FCT? He said he has, of course, the people in Abuja said that he had done 7 times better than all the FCT ministers put together.
Maybe.
Rural roads everywhere, is really doing a lot.
Maybe, yes. Wike is doing, it's a performer. Okay, just like Rotimi Amechi. It's a performer. I mean, under Buhari, you could count Rotimi Amechi was one of the most performing, okay, and all that. But under this one, apart from, what Wike is doing is sectional. So Minister for FCT, just FCT.
Oh, true.
He's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
not as
Doesn't cut
no,
across
he's not a
the
central
nation.
minister. He's not a central minister. A central minister, someone like Umai, Minister of Interior, those ones that are serving the entire nation, not the ones serving Abuja. You understand? So the lack of Wole Soyinka, I expect him to say more now, okay, as against what he said before. His words carry a lot of. He's very influential, so he's listened to. So he should use that to stimulate. Whether this president we won't hear him, it's another thing. But he should speak more now, because what is going on now is far, far worse than the things he condemned in the past. Okay, talking about Jonathan, talking about during the Abacha era. Abacha was the one that sanitized the banks. Nigerian banks were going haywire then. He was the one that sanitized the banks, and the economy under him was not bad. Okay. The economy now is nothing to write home about. Okay. Unemployment is an all-time high. Okay. Public health care, education, call it, name it. It's not doing well, and he needs to acknowledge that and find a way. This is his first term. This is the first half of his first term. If he knows what he's doing, he can actually repair or resuscitate, the economy, or make a difference. He can do that if he knows what to do.
All right. So let's take a look at other notable world critic that equally had done similar to what Wole Soyinka is doing. Now we have Michiko Kakatani, the former New York Times literally a critic, was known for her sharp review of certain authors. However, some critics argued that she exhibited leniency towards authors, suggesting potential bias in her evaluation. Barrister Evans Ofeli, you are equally, if possible, in that league of critics who have really called what it is. You call a spade, especially when you take a look at your state, Delta State. Lots of people have joined the bandwagon of standing on the mandate. You have not. My question is, what do you think happens in the minds of people who are dogged, who are strong-willed about something and stick to it? What do you think is that thing that would make them possibly cave?
Well, people with their temperaments. I mean, if you stand for what is right, if your value system, aligns with public spiritedness, okay, you would do it with your full chest. For example, I don't need any resources from Delta State. I don't need their money. I don't need their appointment. I don't need anything from them. Okay, ordinarily I should just keep quiet. I'm not. But you see, to keep quiet in the face of evil by Martin Luther King, to keep quiet in the face of evil will be contributing to evil. Okay, so at every point in time where the wrong things are done, we should be able to condemn what is wrong, because these leaders, they know that what they are doing is wrong. Okay, so people can cave in. There are people whom they will call. I mean, I've worked with so many right activists who, in the long run, were called and were given money to support the government that was doing nothing, and they took the money, and they changed, they started speaking for the government. I've seen it repeatedly, okay? But their conscience in the long run still judge them, okay? Some of them, when they can't bear it anymore, they go back to say the truth, okay? So people can be bought, people can cave in at any time, people can change their minds, collecting gratification and change course. Nobody's looking at them. Nobody will know. Okay, but they say integrity is what you do even when no one is looking at you. So people are different. Was it not in the Holy Read that somebody came to meet Peter and said that this power that you are displaying, how much will it cost me if I want to pay? Yes. And Peter looked at him and said, your money perish with thee. So people will always, you can't, you cannot exfoliate people who are in the system for the wrong reason. You will always find them in every sphere of life. Okay, they will cave in at any slightest opportunity. So that's a debate that is tied around difference in the human person. It's tied around the difference in human person. Is man's proclivity to cheat, to undercut, to take a shortcut. That is the prognosis of man. But you also have those who, though they have nothing, they will not compromise their soul, their integrity, or their vision for anything. No matter how stupendously rich you are, or no matter what you offer, they will not take it and soil their soul. So that difference will always exist. Even though it's difficult in Nigeria and Africa to be offered an alternative to escape poverty, and you choose to hold on to your thought. That is the same thing the politicians apply during vote buying and the rest of that. People can change their mind for as low as 10,000 naira, and even come on air to complain that they promised them 20 and they gave them 10,000. People will do things that will surprise you. You understand? They don't care. They have no vision. They have no integrity. What is even integrity in the face of hunger, according to them, and the rest of that? So, but I do not think that is how we should live. We cannot change Nigeria that way. We cannot change Nigeria by compromise.
But can people go overboard? Can people go overboard? A very textbook case is Showore, for example. People have labeled him as an activist, a unionist who is not good enough to be a leader, because some of the things he criticizes are really not pragmatic. He says a revolution, and if you get to know what revolution is, not democracy. So with such kind of critic, where do you base them? Because what they are just spoilers.
No. Every society have the likes of Showore. Every society must produce revolutionaries. Every society have them.
But is it necessary?
It's necessary. It's necessary. Yes, it's necessary to challenge the status quo. They don't need to succeed, but the leaders must develop palpable fear by their presence. It's a way of checkmating leadership in the long run. Even in the days of the Bible, the prophets of those days that look like the normal prophet that will carry stick and have dread with white regalia, the likes of Elijah, Elisha will go to the king and say, you know what, by this your policy, it will not rain for 3 years. And they will go under the cave, and the king will send people to go after them. And it will not rain, really, because God will honor his words. It will not rain for 3 days, and it didn't rain.
So could they be likened as the
revolutionists? Yes, that's what I'm saying. Because you know why? Because the economy was agro-based then. It was agro-based. So when it fails to rain, it affects the king. It affects the entire country. The likes of Elijah and what Showore is doing is not different from what Elijah, Elisha, and some of the prophets did. The most radical of them did, in those days. So every generation we give birth to its own radicalists. Okay, don't expect that Showore should act like any other politician or any other activist or any other. He's given to that style, not today. From when he was younger in the University of Lagos as a child student, he's been doing that. It's not today that he's going to leave that. He was incarcerated, kept away from his family for 5 years. is not going to leave that. That is his nature. Government will have to cope with it, look for a way to live side by side with what he is as an entity. Government have no option, because people like that exist in every society. The likes of Malame in South Africa,
Yes.
when you go down history, other African countries, even the current president of Rwanda was a rebel, that fought against the authority. Okay, so every space, every human society, even in villages, there are people whose own is they will not agree whether the policy is right or wrong. It does not matter how the policy is. They will suspect it, they will condemn it, they will tell you that this government has failed. You understand? So it's not about whether, Shore, for example, it doesn't matter whether federal government policy is right or wrong.
So even if everybody's doing fine,
it doesn't matter. So anything government does, whether it's right or wrong, it's condemnable. It doesn't matter. So society gives birth to those kind of people for a reason. Nature has a way of rebasing itself, producing nuisance, producing the good, the bad, and the ugly, to coexist, to spice up existence.
But at the end of the day, Barrister, yes, at the end of the day, as much as we appreciate all of this, at the end of the day, the world would prefer a Martin Luther King than a Malcolm X. Don't you think so?
Yeah, because Martin Luther King...
because they existed both at the same time.
Yes, yeah.
Struggled for the same thing, but different perspectives.
Different perspectives. Yes. Martin Luther King was more civil, focused. His demands were quite, even though unrealistic.
Really?
Yes, that demand was unrealistic.
I have a dream.
No, it was unrealistic at the time. Even till today, that's what I'm saying, it's unrealistic. Because this ideology of white supremacy, till today, there's still racism even in Atlanta, Georgia, where Martin Luther King was born. That is why I'm based in the US. You still see the racism once in a while. You find it. So that's why I say it's unrealistic. But he pushed it to a point where so many strong walls collapsed. He succeeded largely by that campaign. And that was even made it possible for Obama to become president. And then black people becoming governors across the US and the rest of it. Before his time, they were only relegated to rap music. And in that rap music, what they are doing there is expressing their frustration in a country that they are trapped in. They don't know their identity. They don't know where they are going to. They don't know where they are coming from. It's a difficult way to live. So they are inspired by that very uneasy life. And so they wrote poetry, they wrote rap music, sang about it, did so much about it. You understand? But when you look at it, you place it side by side to, Rosa Parks was the one who refused to. Before then, once a white man gets into the train, you as a black man will stand up for him to sit down. She refused. You understand? The revolution started from there. Martin Luther King, born to a family, raised by a Baptist pastor father, became a Baptist preacher, in the Ebenezer First Baptist Church in Autumn Urban, Atlanta, Georgia. Started his own, having learned from the first Martin Luther King, because it's actually the junior.
Okay.
The Martin Luther King that pulled out from the church then and created the Methodist movement, the Methodist Church, and all that. And having learned from them, and having gone to India to learn from Mahatma Gandhi, the stories of Mahatma Gandhi and the rest of that, and develop this
protest with no violence.
Yes, civil rights movement. Without violence, sending a message, was able to, because at the time their problem was not survival per se.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, their problem was inclusion.
Yes.
Inclusion, it was abstract, it was emotional. Okay, So his movement to gain credibility via providence.
Now just oppose it with that of Malcolm X.
Yeah, no, Malcolm X, Malcolm X was much more inciting violence because he's extreme, and he doesn't mind if people take arms, and his campaign was not violent free, even though he didn't hide it. Okay, even though he made a lot of impact, but it was very insightful. That was why he was stopped early. Okay, he didn't really, he wanted it because during his own era, there was a lot of physical conflict between the blacks and the whites, and so many white people were killed. So many white, in fact, America is the way it is today by the blood of so many persons, whom, were, and the rest of that. So many things that happened. So that is why, if you look at Martin Luther King, is much more of the refined version of the movement to eliminate discrimination. In the Have a Dream speech, you can see that it was so powerful that it was named the third best speech in the world after Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. Is Martin Luther King. For speech analysts who want to research, is the third most impactful speech in the world. Okay, and we've seen how the blacks in the U.S. have, used this influence to rise to any level. What they couldn't do before, they could do. And after his death, he became more powerful because even the white started studying how he took this whole thing, took them like a storm, and he became a figure known all over the world. Today, there's a Martin Luther King Day. This year we celebrated it, I think, was it in February? Either February or March. That I was in the US on the day, and I knew how impactful that day is. Martin Luther King Day is a public holiday, nobody opens.
So do you think Nigerians would or could welcome a Wole Soyinka Day anytime in the future?
Wole Soyinka has impacted this country in ways that it is not people who really will admire Soyinka are not people who are widespread. There are people who possibly have studied, or he has taught, or those who have studied who, through the process of growth, education-wise, you've read his book, you are a disciple of his by virtue of his intellectual work. You can hardly see anyone who have gone through the works of Soyinka that will not fall in love with his style of writing, especially the Jero's metamorphosis that gave him the Nobel Prize, the trial of Rajero. For those who are keen to knowledge, there's a tendency you will like him.
Okay.
But for those who are maybe not in that line, science people, those who only interact with him when he's speaking on public issues, will most likely not like him because he's a very deep critic. The person you want him to criticize may not be the person he's criticizing. And that is why a lot of people are saying that he has changed.
Yes.
Because, during the Biafra War, he supported the Igbos. In fact, that was what led to his incarceration.
Yes,
when he wrote,
7 months.
when he wrote The Man Died. Yeah. It was Biafra related.
Yes.
So you see, he's a detribalized person. He's detribalized. That's people. Some people like him because he's detribalized. Some people will, in fact, the hate that is coming is coming in the later days of his life. When he was much more younger, he was a close friend of Chinua Achebe, very close. I have the interview they both did in 1961, both of them. They were just youths then, on literature. There's a guy from Ghana that interviewed, both of them.
I've watched it.
That interviewed both of them. Yeah. And you could see the level of their thoughts at that time as young boys, and they grew up, they were friends, they were in the same sphere of endeavor and the rest of that. He's detribalized. But today, people are saying he has changed.
Is it because we have a newest form of thinkers, the Gen Alphas and all of that, who might not have a clearer understanding of the sacrifice he has
the
put
Gen
in place?
Zs and the Alpha generation will not really know him. They will not really know him, except for those that study literature. Those ones will not really know him. Even the ones studying literature, his books are not, I don't think they are even in text any longer as much as it used to be in the past. So they may not know him. They will need to do quick search. And that's why we must teach history. We must keep teaching Nigerian history. The Civil War, for example, many Gen Z don't know the story of the Civil War. Even some adults don't know the story of the Civil War, what led to it, the remote causes and the immediate causes and the aftermath, and what the government did after it. Many people don't know it. Many people don't know about the first military coup that took place in 1966. Yes. You know, they don't know it. You know, the change of government from the First Republic to the Second Republic to the Third Republic that was outlived. The Third Republic was the shortest. Yes. That was outlived, and we now had the Fourth Republic now. Many don't know times. Many don't know times, even within their own country, let alone globally. If you are talking about the classical era, some people don't know it, the Restoration Age, the Victorian Age, the Renaissance, the laissez-faire, the Industrial Revolution, and now the Information Age. Many people don't know. So these are level of thought that whether you are a scientist, you are in academia, you are a Gen Z, you are an Alpha generation, you need to read the history of the world. You need to read the history of the world, the Songhai Empire, history of Africa, the fall of empires, and the rest of that. People should go read, because there's no way you can be engaged in public discourse if you don't know history, you don't know literature, you don't know, where the world is coming from. So what are you going to say about where the world is going to? You can't. You can't. It's not even taught in schools. It's because it's not taught in schools effectively. That's why you should know it. That is why there's this GST in schools, in university. People don't take it serious. They just want to pass exam. You know, that GST 101, you know, and some other elective courses at that 100, there's a lot about these things, from the Marxists to the philosophers, and the rest of them. When you put all that together, that's why the universities, from the word universal knowledge, okay, you are being groomed to become an entity of your own, plus the extra effort you add to what you are taught. That's what makes you. So let's read history very well. Let's make input, and when we talk, we'll know exactly what we're saying. The situation you're looking at today is not just, it's not a foolish man as many people. It couldn't have been a foolish man. You cannot be foolish and win Nobel Prize. It's not possible. In 1986, the first African to win Nobel Prize, you know, and had long won other prizes, you know, and he won the Nobel Prize with the trial of Rajero. If you have not read the trial of Rajero, go and read the trial of Rajero and come back and tell me how stupid Wole Soyinka is. It's not possible. So if you don't like him, you don't like him because you don't know him. People who know him cannot know him and dislike him. It's not possible. That's what I think.
All right. We equally think the same way. It's just that we are living in an interesting time, you know, where you know, lots of things get lots of things get missing, you know, very, very soon by people who are living with it, unfortunately. But of course, Wole Soyinka still remains an icon, still remains a legend to Nigerians and to Nigeria as a country, and which is a very good reason for us to take him seriously, and if possible, cut him some slack if he does or says things that we might not be, you know, comfortable with. We just have to leave it at this particular point and say thank you to you for making this a date. Thank you so very much, Barrister Francis.
It's my pleasure.
All right, people, it's about time. We need to go. We'd love to say thank you to you too. Please do well to visit us. If you may, you can always find us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Igwebike. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Have yourself a splendid day. Bye-bye.